What's up, everybody? It's Tuesday, August 8th, 2017. Welcome in. Monkey's Rant kind of video here today. We're doing the vlog style. No magic, no video games. None of the stuff that a lot of you come for. Some of you did. Some of you came for my vlogs. I want to give a shout out to my homegirl, Carly. Today is her birthday. Happy birthday, Miss Carly. Hope you and Mike are having a very enjoyable day. Because, you know, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. Gotta have that birthday. Oh, yeah. Just getting set up out here. Nice warm day, but not too bad. Hot-wise. Been asked a few times. Kind of why I'm always griping about being a GIMP, or why I say I'm Mr. GIMP, or blah, blah, blah. As many people know, I was ran over, aka I was backed over, by a forklift June 2nd of last year, about 7:45 a.m. at work. One of the shittier days of last year. Not the shittiest by any means. But last year just fucking sucked for me and my family. It was a bad year all around. Just about everything that could go wrong went wrong. Obviously, I got ran over by a forklift. In February, we lost 2 cats. January, February, we lost 2 cats. Yeah, somewhere around then. That was rough. That was really rough on both of us, especially Kira, since they were her kitties. It was hard. They were good cats. Zoe and Joey will forever be missed. And then, of course, flash forward to June. The worst month of last year. June 2nd, I was ran over by a forklift, and by June 11th, I was putting my cat down. It's hard to talk about. Anybody has anything to say about me crying on this, go fuck yourself. I'll find you and I'll beat your ass if you have anything negative to say about me crying. I don't give a fuck who you are. But that's neither here nor there. It's just, he was only 11, barely 11. I miss Chewy every day. Y'all know, if y'all know who Chewy is. Anybody that's seen any of my social media profiles, y'all know who Chewy is. My profile pictures will never change, ever, on any social media, ever. Because of just how much he meant to me. He was the first animal that in my adult life I had the pleasure of owning, and I've only owned 3. I have my boys now, but he was my world. And it was devastating to have to put him down because of medical issues. But that's also, I mean, that's another one. I've already talked about this in previous vlogs. But the main reason for this today is I just kind of wanted to explain to everybody kind of what happened in my accident. That fateful day in June 2nd of last year. The boss was pushing in. The boss, mind you, was the one who ran me over. Was pushing in some bigger 60-foot beam, 60-foot lambs in to be glued, like always. And there's always a certain spot just about 2/3 of the way where he'll stop and back up a little bit because we need to readjust and whatnot. Kind of giving you a backstory. This happens a lot. We do those like 2 to 3 times a week, if at most. Usually once a week. Hopefully, usually once every other week. We do a day's worth of that stuff, which was quite a lot. But I always, when walking around a forklift, always pay attention to looking at the forklift, where it's going, looking at the driver, and always keeping a full arm arm's length from it. I'd always, if I was getting close enough to the forklift, I'd put my hand on it to stay far enough back. And what happened at that moment was he was about halfway into the building. I was walking behind to get around because I couldn't go around the front, obviously, to grab a broom and a shovel to pick up a mess or grab a shovel because I had just broomed up a bunch of shit I wanted to clean up. The fucking idiot doesn't turn around, doesn't look behind him. I have no indication that he's going to back up at all. Also, the backup beeper on the forklift this time was not working. And he went from going forward to reversing as quickly as possible. I'm not 100% sure exactly how he ended up on the ground. The only thing that clicks in my brain is how it could happen is as I was pushing, holding my arm out to kind of keep myself my distance, so I had to save enough room that I thought to have enough room to react. Well, what happened is he came back really hard, hit me, knocked me down, and then backed up to my foot. And since he's a fucking idiot, he doesn't pay any bit of attention to see what he just backed into. So instead of figuring out what just stopped him from free rolling backwards, coasting backwards in a forklift, instead of figuring out what stopped him, he decided to hit the gas pedal. And then jumped up my leg. He started right here, down in my ankle, and drove it all the way up to about right here. About right here. He backed off. Started to back off. The whole time I'm screaming. Just straight screaming my ass off. People a block away heard me screaming. That's how loud I was. To give you kind of a general idea of how loud I can get, my vocals can get so loud that I can scream over metal concerts. I've done it many times. I've had many bands stop and tell me, calm down a little. Sometimes calm down. Sometimes they're just freaking excited that someone's so fucking happy to see him, and that's how I am. I'm a fanboy. Huge fanboy. But after he backed down, he realized he was running me over, and at this point my leg was probably about that thin. You're looking at, I forget this on camera where I can see it, about that much. That's about how flat my leg was. Instead of continuing to back up and me climb out, he drove forward, back down my leg. And I had to witness it all happen again, and it couldn't have been more than like 10 seconds all this went down, maybe not even that. And let me tell you, if you ever have had a major accident or anything like that, time seems to stop. Literally stop for you. It felt like an eternity. I mean, I felt like an hour had passed. I felt like I was being crushed for almost an hour at that point. He finally drove back off me. I was able to get up. And I did. I was able to stand up. I was able to walk about 5 steps on it because I'm stupid. There's no other reason to it. I mean, I looking back, don't know why I stood up, why I got off the ground. My adrenaline was pumping. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. My adrenaline was just going. And yeah, I made about 5 steps before the pain set in. I got helped into the office, which was another about 4 steps from where I ended up at. 4 or 5 steps. It wasn't very far from where I ended up before I couldn't do it any longer. I couldn't walk anymore. They set me in a chair. I pretty much had a puncture wound and a foot that was probably like 6-7 times the size it is now. And I'm not joking. I wish I had pictures of it. It was huge. I had some pictures online and whatnot about a month later. But yeah. About the time the boss that ran me over decided to show up into the office where I was seated right before they took me away. Unfortunately, lucky for him. So lucky for that asshole. So fucking lucky for that asshole. Shock set in. The moment I seen his face, I was halfway lunging out of the chair to knock his block off when shock set in, and I could not do anything but other than fall back in the chair and beg and plead for water because I was so thirsty. Everything was spinning. I was, at this point, starting to freak out a little bit, and this is about 2 minutes after the accident happened. I then spent the next 8 hours or 9 hours sitting in the ER, between two different ERs. They had to test a lot of things with the puncture room. They had to run my blood tests. A bunch of stuff was coming up weird with my blood. So they did more tests that weren't involving that, but thank God for that being covered. So I ended up being stuck, which wasn't the worst thing last summer with the heat wave, at home all summer. The only way I was able to get around was with the knee scooter I had, which I mobbed. I mobbed the shit out of that thing. In fact, I had my knee scooter up until almost mid-September when I finally was able to walk on my own. Ish, and was able to drive because it was my right leg. It was my driving leg that got ran over. So I got back to work. Got back to work just a little after my birthday. It was like the 20th, right around the 20th-ish. The 20th in August. I stayed on light duty for about 2 months. I was just straight light duty. Didn't have an actual job. I just floated around with my scooter because what else am I supposed to do? I then ended up being promoted into the quality control technician. So I was running quality control for the plant, which was great. It was easy. They treated me great. Whenever my foot hurt, they didn't mind. They minded a little bit, but they didn't mind. They understood that I needed to sit down and put my foot up. This lasted from, I think it was like November up until May. And then I was transferred to our Washougal plant onto a full production position, which is fine. I'm not happy. I have not been happy with it, but I got to deal with it. So I've been out there since. And the only problem with that is just before they transferred me, I was no longer wearing my brace. I was no longer needing pain meds to survive because it still fucking hurts. And yeah, maybe I am a pussy. I've been called that enough times now. But there and again, to those people who call me a pussy, you get fucking ran over by a fucking forklift. Get up, walk away from it, and you fucking tell me how it feels. Okay? Okay, now that we're done with that, and these are things I hear to this day still. Which, granted, sometimes sometimes pain shouldn't be as bad. I don't think the pain should be this bad. But unfortunately it is. It gets to the point where I have troubles walking, putting weight on that foot. The Achilles tendon in the back starts just freaking flaring up. And it just is shooting. The doctors never said it, but I feel the nerve damage from what happened. There's not severe nerve damage, obviously, because the doctors didn't catch it, but there's nerve damage in my leg. And unfortunately for that, I already had injured this leg, and the only reason my leg didn't break is because I have a titanium rod running from my ankle past my knee. Otherwise, without that, my leg would have been shattered. Completely, and just there's no ifs, ands, or buts. My leg would have shattered. There's no way with how thin it got that it wouldn't have been shattered. It's hard to think back onto a little. It's hard to think back onto. I really don't like to that much. I mean, just because of the flashbacks, I have minor PTSD issues because of it. Still, I'll wake up in the middle of the night screaming. It sucks, but it's life. On that one, you want to make fun of me for having PTSD over this? Cool, go ahead. I know personally no one that subscribed to me or obviously watches these or watches me should or will have anything negative to say. And, and if you do, go ahead. Say what you want. I mean, this is the internet. Everybody has the right to say anything negative they want, positive, whatever. Whatever. I mean, it's the prerogative of whoever watches this, if they want to comment, if they're going to comment. Yeah, that's generally my story of what happened there. It was definitely difficult for a long time. Still is from time to time. If I could get back into my old spot or something that's not requiring me to run around all day, or I should say lifting things while running around all day, I would be golden. I can walk. On the weekends, I have no issues at all. I have a little issue first thing in the morning. I can't walk barefoot anymore. I always have to have a shoe or a slipper or something just to kind of, that little extra padding goes a long ways. Do I want people to feel bad for me? No, please don't feel bad for me. It's life. Shit happens. It's stupid. Just always be careful around people on forklifts. And just know that if you're in a situation like me and you're the only party out of the two that gets piss tested, because I was the only one to get piss tested, the guy that ran me over did not get drug tested. Hopefully you have better lawyers around. The ones that I had for my specific stuff, the ones that I was told to go talk to by other lawyers, just gave me the runaround. They didn't help me any. I had to do all of it mostly on my own. Not 100% on my own by any means. I have a very great support system with my family. My parents both my mom and stepfather were very helpful through everything. And I appreciate everything they've done. A big shout out to my woman, Kira. She went above and beyond, taking care of me, babying me, even to this day. She still takes care of me when I need. And, yeah, it was a life-changing experience for me, and not in a good way. Granted, I got out of the glue room, which I didn't want to be in, but I'd rather have not had any of this happen and have been stuck in that position. Truly. Only because my leg never hurt this bad. I had my bad days. Slap on a knee brace usually is all it took. Some ibuprofen. Maybe take something a little stronger than ibuprofen. But it just sucks. If you happen to make it this far, which, maybe a little bit of you will, just wanted to say thank you, and I appreciate you. Appreciate all of you. Anybody who watches this, I appreciate you. Yeah, I don't even know anymore. I know I'm kind of rambling now, but thanks, Matt. If you happen to watch it this far, past all my thank yous, this is the explanation.